we've published a package of about 6 regulations for public comment, as well as proposals that may be different to what we've proposed as the Electoral Commission. Obviously, the popular one is a regulation dealing with the submission of candidates. It does not only deal with the fee payable, it also deals with arrangements around how to submit your signatures and the required forms to collect those signatures as a candidate that you will have to submit. But also we are, by way of a regulation, confirming using technology in the submission of those signatures by the contesting individuals. And that applies to both the independent candidates as well as the political parties who do not have a seat in the provincial legislatures or the national legislatures. They have to collect those signatures. The other 5 regulations, one deals with the party liaison structure that we have, where only political parties were sitting. We are now revising that into a political liaison committee to accommodate the fact that we will now have independent candidates. The other regulation has to deal with a new provision for overseas voters that they now do not have to notify the Chief Electoral Officer if they're voting in the country where they are registered. But if they intend to vote in a different country, then they will have to give that notice. The other regulation deals with regulating capturing candidates on an online application that we have as the Electoral Commission. And the last one, obviously, is dealing with the so-called Section 24A. If you recall, it was open to a bit of abuse and overuse in the last election in 2019. So this current provision tightens it a bit and requires pre-application. Thank you.
And Mawethu, one thing that is always popular when it comes to elections is the registration of new political parties. And we've seen here, according to the draft regulations, there's a proposal of 705,000 Rand for a political party to register. You know, one would ask, how did you come to this amount?
Well, it's not an amount to register. This is an amount to confirm your participation in that proclaimed election. Remember that on an ongoing basis, we register political parties to be on our political party register. Currently, we have over 540. Now, in order for us to get a proper notice of those who intend participating in this election, they will have to nominate candidates. They would have to submit signatures, those that are not represented. And lastly, they will have to pay this deposit. But the deposit is also paid by those who are currently sitting if they intend to contest this election. Now, we've arrived at a figure of 705, but maybe we need to take a step back and say there's 2 types of elections at a national level. There's a general proportional election that is being contested there. That election requires 300,000 per political party, and it's only political parties who will contest that election. And then at a national level, we also have 9 regions that will be contested. Similarly, on proportional representation per region, but to contest each region, you then have to add 25,000 if you intend not to contest all of them. So the real change in terms of monetary value is from 200,000 to 300,000, and that's the change there. But also, political parties didn't have to pay for regions. They will now have to pay for regions.
And one would ask that when you look at the amount for a political party, especially if you are a new party trying to contest the 2024 elections, one would ask, is the fee 705,000 Rand not too much? And one would also ask, is this in the interest of democracy?
Certainly, it may be in the interest of democracy. The whole provision of paying deposit is a common feature, is a common practice in all democracies to show your intention to participate. And we can look at various jurisdictions to look at the justification of signatures, the justification of paying deposits. So those are generally the requirements. Now, the actual amount, we said, let's put an amount and ask stakeholders, citizens, and political parties themselves, as well as those who intend to contest as candidates, to tell us whether it's too high or too low. We will obviously consider all the views that we receive from this consultative process.
And my last question to you, what has been the reaction from some of those political parties when it comes to that figure?
No direct reaction to the amount, and one assumes that they understood that the submissions to support or oppose or propose it differently is until the 27th of August. So they probably are considering that and wanting to make a submission to ourselves as the Commission in order to review or to go ahead with the amounts that we have now published. But this is the standard we are setting, and we obviously will have to listen to what they say.